My name is Natalie, a 40 years old office worker. My husband, John, is 3 years older than me, and we worked at the same place. Since we don't have any children, it is always just the two of us. Our married life with John already spanned 10 years. I got married at 30, so from the very beginning, I felt a kind of urgency about trying to conceive. This was because both my husband and I had a strong desire to have a child. Although as a man, my husband would not have much time constraint on having children, I myself considered 35 to be my limit. The reason I wanted to complete childbirth and parenting while I still had the energy was that I was physically weak. However, that hope was not fulfilled. Shortly after we got married, my husband and I started trying to conceive, but with no signs of pregnancy, we decided to undergo tests at an obstetrics and gynecology clinic. As a result, it was concluded that the problem lay with my body and that it would be difficult to have children. I was not completely infertile, but the possibility was very low and we were in a difficult situation, as explained by the doctor. John was disappointed and regretted that he could not become a father. Seeing him like that, I was at a loss for words. Despite this, we continued trying to conceive in the hope of a small miracle, but in the end, no child was born to us. I told my disappointed husband, "It can't be helped. Let's cherish our life together." John also showed resignation, saying, "Yeah, there's nothing we can do about not being able to have one." However, John's attitude gradually changed. When we were walking around the town together, seeing a family, he would sigh and say, "If I had a child too, we might be enjoying our holidays like this as a family." When we went to a colleague's house, he would envy their situation, saying, "It's very nice to have kids." I felt a pain in my chest, thinking that perhaps he had not yet given up on having children deep down in his heart. Then, John gradually became cold to me. When we were trying to conceive, he would willingly help with the housework, saying, "Don't overdo it. It will be a burden on your body, and that could hinder child-making." He was a very kind husband who considered me, saying, "I'll carry it," and willingly carried heavy or large items. Since I was doing housework on weekdays, he would always take over the housework on holidays. However, when it became clear that I could not conceive a child, he stopped helping me at all. "I'm tired. You're my wife. Housework is your job." He spent his holidays just lazing around. He spent his holidays either napping or playing with his smartphone. Due to the sudden increase in workload, I became prone to illness. When I had a fever or stomachache, he coldly said, "I don't care. Do it yourself," and never took care of me. Even when he treated me like that, I could not say anything, because the fact that it was difficult for me to conceive was indeed my fault. That was when I started thinking that maybe I should divorce. Unexpectedly, John's transfer was decided. He was chosen to be a member of an important project at a subsidiary company. The subsidiary company was so far away that we had to cross state borders, and it seemed that he would be transferred there. Of course, I thought I should follow him, but he said, "I'm going alone. You don't need to come." Hearing his words, I thought for a while. He might be irritated that I have trouble conceiving, and as a result, he has been cold to me. Living at a distance for a while due to his transfer might give him some emotional leeway, and there might be a chance for us to return to our calm relationship. I said, "All right, then I'll stay here. Take care," and saw him off. After his transfer, the frequency of his return to home was once a month at best. Even when he did come back, he would often return to his transferred workplace right away, saying that he was busy. I thought that if he really hated me, he wouldn't have come back at all. So I was happy to see him even for a short time. After he moved, there were slight changes in his attitude. At first, there wasn't much change in his attitude, but as time went by, he gradually became kinder. He would say, "I bought some souvenirs. Do you want to eat?" And buy local souvenirs when he came back. And even when his time was limited, he would go shopping with me. He started asking me if there was anything I needed, and I thought he had returned to his old kind self. His initially planned 1-year single assignment ended up lasting 2 years. The reason why it took so long was that the project was significantly behind schedule. By the time it was his 2nd year of working away from home, he had stopped saying hurtful things when he saw families or children around town, knowing that we were unable to have children. Furthermore, he said, "I couldn't have a child with you, but I've already given up." I felt relieved when John gave up. And then, after 2 years passed, he finished his job away from home and returned. "Welcome home. You must be tired." "I'm back. Finally, we can live together again." With these gentle exchanges, we began living together as a married couple once more. However, this peaceful life didn't last long. After he came back and some time had passed, he told me something. "I have a relative who gave birth to a child before marriage. She is still young and says it's difficult to raise a child on her own. If it's okay with you, would you like to take the child in and raise the child together?" Taken aback by his sudden suggestion, I asked, "What's going on?" "Since we couldn't have a child, why don't we take that child and raise the child as our own?" he explained. In response to the sudden event, I said, "Let me think about it for a moment." I ended the conversation for the day, but I couldn't help but feel uncomfortable with the story. Our relationship with my husband's family was minimal because they lived far away. We were not in frequent contact, and our relationship consisted mostly of exchanging Christmas cards once a year. We didn't have a wedding ceremony, so I knew very little about his relatives. I thought it was strange to take in a child without knowing much about the parent, so I suggested to my husband, "Could you introduce me to the child's parent? I would like to know what kind of person she is." But he refused, saying, "It doesn't matter who the child's parent is. What are you going to do with that information?" "I think it's important to know what kind of person the parent is. I'd like to know why she couldn't raise the child, the details, and what happened to the child's father." When I pushed him for answers, he got angry and said, "Apparently the father ran away. Stop prying into the parents' affairs. You can't just tell me to take in a stranger's child and expect me to say, 'Okay, what are you thinking?'" I replied, perhaps more harshly than I intended. Upon hearing this, he shouted, "Fine. If you won't take the child, then we are getting a divorce. Please leave immediately." I felt like that single sentence encapsulated his true feelings. He desperately wanted a child, and I felt as if he didn't care about me. At that moment, I reached my limit. "Okay, I'll pack my things and leave. I quickly gathered my belongings and left the house. Having no place to go that day, I stayed at a business hotel near the station. The divorce proceedings with my husband went smoothly. Because we went through a lawyer to avoid any disputes such as compensation for damages and other things, matters were resolved amicably without any issues. Feeling awkward about working at the same company as him, I quit my job and found a new one. Fortunately, I was proficient in using a computer and had qualifications such as a secretary's license, so I was able to get a job at a small law firm. Although it took some time to get used to the new work, I was able to handle my daily tasks and lead a stable life. Having been living separately from my husband for 2 years, I had already grown accustomed to returning to an empty room. One day, during this lifestyle that lasted for about a year, my ex-husband suddenly showed up at my workplace with a small child. Seeing me at the reception, he looked surprised and asked, "Why are you here?" "I work here, of course." Hearing this, his face turned pale. I was concerned about the child he was holding, but for the time being, I led him to the lawyer in charge. A shocking truth was revealed. This child was born a year ago, but the child doesn't look like me at all. I'm suspecting that it might not be mine. I see. What would you like to do if it turns out you are not the child's father? In that case, I'm thinking of leaving my wife. However, legally speaking, if you want to deny parentage, you must do so within 1 year of learning of the child's birth. Ultimately, you must file within 1 year of the child's birth. Even if you have a DNA test and confirm that you are not the parent, you still need to pay education fees for the child. You must be kidding me. It's true. There's even a Supreme Court precedent for this. As a record keeper at the scene, I was summarizing their conversation. While doing this, I realized something. John had been unfaithful during our marriage and had a child with another woman. Listening to his story, it was clear from the age of the child and the duration of the pregnancy that the child was conceived about a year after he started working away from home. Furthermore, I remembered that he became kind to me around that time. Realizing he was involved in such deceitful things, I was convinced. Listening to the story, it seems that his current wife is apparently a junior colleague at his workplace. Every time he explained, he looked at me with a pale face. No wonder. His ex-wife he cheated on and tried to push the child he had from his affair onto 1 year ago is right in front of him. In the end, he said, "I understand. I'll take a DNA test first, then think about it again," and went home looking disappointed. After he left, I confessed to the lawyer during that day's work about our divorce last year. He was very surprised and said, "You can claim compensation for damages within 2 years of discovery. What will you do?" I said, "Of course I will claim compensation for damages. I would like to receive it from the woman he had an affair with as well." "Then let's proceed with the procedure immediately." "Thank you. I appreciate your help." With the help of my lawyer, I claimed compensation for damages from my husband and his current wife, who was a woman he had an affair with. To prevent them from escaping, I sent the claim not only to their home, but also to their workplace and the home of my ex-husband's parents. The response from my ex-husband came immediately. "Hey, what's this claim for?" "It's obviously a claim for damages due to infidelity." "We are already divorced. I'm not paying any money." "The claim period is still valid. The period to claim compensation for damages from the discovery of infidelity is within 2 years. We divorced a year ago, and the infidelity was recently discovered." Then A woman's voice I didn't recognize said, "Let me handle this." And then she got on the phone. "Hello, what's this claim?" I was shouted at out of the blue, so I asked, "Who is this?" "I'm his wife. About this claim, at least drop my part." "No, it's only natural to claim it because he had an affair and we got divorced." "But he told me he wasn't married at the time. I thought he was single. I didn't know he was married." "I don't know anything about that. And even if he lied and said he was single, the fact that you had an affair with my ex-husband doesn't change. You both will have to pay each. We need money for our child to grow up. There's no way we can afford to pay such a large sum." "Your circumstances don't matter. Besides, you are working too, and he holds a decent position at the company, so I don't think there's a financial problem." "Because you sent the claim paper, he got demoted and took a pay cut, and I became a part-timer from a full-time job and my income decreased, so I'm in trouble. We can't afford to pay such a large sum." She exaggerated. "If that's the case, how about asking your parents to take responsibility? I won't back down no matter what." "No way! I won't pay. There's no need to." After she yelled that, he got back on the phone again. "As my wife explained, we are going to be in a lot of financial trouble from now on. Could you please withdraw the claim?" "No way. I will never withdraw it. By the way, I have a good thing to tell you," I told him. "What's a good thing?" "Remember, a few years ago, we took a test to find out the cause of our infertility?" "We did take the test. What about it?" "It was said that there was a problem with my body at the time, but did you know that there was also a problem with you?" "No way. That can't be true, right?" "That's exactly it. There was indeed a problem with your body. But at the time, I was shocked and didn't want to hurt you, so I didn't say anything. I still have the test result paper. Do you want me to send it to you next time?" He said incredulously, "That's a lie. That's a lie." He was probably too shocked to hear anything else. Actually, according to the doctor's diagnosis, while it was true that there was a problem with me, there was a major problem with him as well. The doctor at the time said, "Both of you have issues, so it would be difficult to have a child. The problem is not just with a wife, so don't be too down." When he was told in the examination room that there was a problem with my body, he was so shocked that he ran out and didn't listen to the rest of the conversation. Initially, I was going to keep this fact a secret, but I decided to tell him now, as there was no need to hide it any longer. Listening to him muttering, "It's a lie. It's absolutely a lie," I said, "That's enough. I'm busy," and hung up. Afterwards, I received a total of $30,000, $15,000 each from the two of them as damages. She resisted because she didn't want to pay, but it seems that in the end he bore all the burden. After that, it seems that he ended up taking a DNA paternity test. The results revealed that the child was not his. He seems to be in the process of divorcing his wife, but as he will have to pay education fees for the child and compensation for damages to his wife, he, who has been demoted, does not have the financial leeway to do so. After all, I heard he continues to live a married life with his current wife, who is his affair partner. By the way, the reason why he tried to get me to raise his child with his affair partner seems to be because the affair partner was a strong-willed woman. He had intended to break up with the affair partner under some pretense after taking the child, which he told me when he came to pay money. Lately, he and his wife have become estranged, and their household is filled with tension, and at work, they are looked down upon as an adulterous couple, and they feel uncomfortable. I have become completely accustomed to living alone and am living a calm life. I am planning to go on a trip with my friends during the next long holiday. Although I am alone, I am spending fulfilling days through interactions with my friends and work.